Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me here. I will be talking about sustainable development in the context of ICTs, especially regarding mobile communication systems. I'm research director here at the University of OULU, and I work also in the 6G flagship in the role of Director of Sustainability and Regulation. So my main research for the past 5 years has been around 6G systems, but I've been doing wireless communications research for more than 20 years. So I will be introducing some parts about the generic concepts of sustainable development within the ICTs. And here I want to start with showing you the Finnish 6G flagship research agenda. Some of you have seen this already, but it has different perspectives: technical research together with business and regulation research, and also sustainability. So my research has always been like multidisciplinary, bringing together technical perspective with regulations and business. I think Petri was here yesterday presenting you the business model research that we've been doing together. So we worked together for a very, very long time, looking at the mobile communication systems in a multidisciplinary manner in multi-stakeholder collaboration. So I think it's important that academic researchers collaborate with industry companies. Companies develop the actual products and services and solutions. So I think it's important that very early on you get to see what the industry thinks about your system models, your approach. You get valuable feedback from industries. Also, regulators are very much keen on what we do. The telecom sector is extremely strictly regulated. The mobile communications are strictly regulated, especially the spectrum. Radio spectrum matters are very much regulated. So we are in that, I think, that interface, like talking with the regulators all the time. This morning, before I came here, I was presenting in a Korean forum. Koreans were organizing a mobile spectrum forum. I was speaking very remotely to the regulators. So I think it's good to realize there are many options when you are in this field of engineering field. You can work in the industry, work in the regulator, work in the academia, collaborate with all of them. We're all in the same boat and towards the same big goals. And we've been doing this is a global 6G definition work is now ongoing at the global level. So we're doing contributions to that work. And I always want to mention this one specific example of stakeholder collaboration between industry, academia, and regulators. It's the local 5G mobile communication networks deployed by different stakeholders, not just the MNOs, the big mobile network operators, but now in many countries like Finland, Germany, UK, it is possible to apply for a local spectrum license to deploy your own local 5G network. That was not possible yet in the 4G era, but it is possible now in many countries because we have been promoting this kind of collaborative thinking, driven by industry, but in very close collaboration. And some sustainability-related considerations towards the future. So sustainable development in general, it means the development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. These are very old definitions from the 80s and the 90s. So I remember that from my childhood that the sustainable development was a huge thing already then, but it was not such an integral part of the ICT development. There was green communications in the 4G era and those things, but now I think it's becoming more and more a topical topic. The sustainability usually is the principle that we don't limit the range of economic, social, and environmental options open to future generations. So I like using this triple bottom line of economic, social, and environmental perspectives of sustainability. We use those also in research, in 6G research now, for example, in the European level XIX2 project. There are tasks about those different perspectives. I'm leading the economic part. And we know that the UN SDGs, the UN Sustainable Development Goals, are globally the goals that countries are committed to achieving by 2030. There are 169 targets that are measured with 232 indicators, and 7 of them are ICT indicators, like the proportion of schools with internet access, the proportion of women with mobile phone, or the proportion of people with a mobile phone. But they're so generic. And here they are like close to 100%. So that's not driving our work as such, but still the trying to enable a lot of good things to the ICT should be a big priority that we also should be aiming at. So sustainability is changing the traditional ICT landscape, the ICT sector. Today, if we rank the countries according to who is a forerunner in mobile communications, Finland has been ranking high because the criteria has been total consumed mobile data. So why? I don't get it. How sustainable is that? You just watch the cat videos and other animal videos and whatever streaming service, and that makes you a forerunner. It's not very sustainable in the way that we see developments in other sectors, but still today that is a criteria. So we urgently need to consider what really are the criteria and indicators in our field. So we led the development of the world's first 6G white paper in the 6G flagship that was published in 2019 in a stakeholder collaboration and concluded that sustainability should be a key driver for 6G R&D. Then we did a follow-up white paper on connecting 6G with the UN SDGs in 2020. And yes, these are the high-level principles, but how does that translate into the work that we all do? How is sustainability a real driver for example, your research? How do you consider that? How do I consider that in my topic of spectrum management? What does it mean? We're still quite far away from this being a reality. So in general, the ICT infrastructure, mobile communications, we need three layers to be there. We need the infrastructure and networks to be there. They're not there everywhere. Finland has quite good mobile coverage, but still there are, for example, countryside, the service has gone down. It shouldn't, but it has. There are many places that are not connected at all. But that it's not enough that you have a network. You need to have access to and connectivity so that people can actually use it. The price can be too high. The subscription price can be pretty high. So that limits the access. And even if you can access, there is infrastructure. If there are no services, no meaningful services in your own language, in the area where you are, still we can't realize the benefit. So all these three, and there are bottlenecks in all of them, and we can contribute to solving the bottlenecks in the different layers. So ICT sector in general has a dual role. It can be an enabler of digitization in different sectors. It can lead to reductions in, for example, the negative impact on environment in different sectors. It can reduce the negative environmental impact in different sectors. That's the handprint effect. But at the same time, the ICT sector has a huge burden, huge environmental burden. For example, electricity consumption alone is really big and keeps increasing. So year after year, ICT sector's energy consumption keeps increasing. Yes, MNOs are saying they use renewable energy, but that's just one side of the story. It's not enough. So we're not even talking about reducing, we're not talking about reducing consumption, energy consumption. We're barely talking about reducing the growth of consumption. That's where our sector is today. And the regulators, they have the power to demand. They can demand that operators have to do this. They can demand that this is what has to be done. But in a recent survey in Europe by the European regulators, they were collecting from countries what indicators, what data the national regulators collect from ICT sector regarding environmental sustainability. And the results were shocking, barely any. France collects some data, Finland collects some data, some countries collect some data like electricity consumption, but that's about it. Many countries don't collect any data. So it's totally not handled. And nations are committed to being like carbon neutral by such and such. Companies have committed to doing that. But we're still, it's like it's a nice talking, but we're very far away from that in reality. So the role of these digital techniques is important in terms of helping different sectors to emit less, to absorb more. That's the handprint part. But at the same time, we need to be sure that the ICT sector's own negative impact on the environment is kept in control and reduced. And for this, we need indicators. What should be measured? How should it be measured? Even if we can define like energy efficiency or energy consumption. So what is it really? Energy efficiency is usually a metric of you get something with respect to you put something there, like this much of data with this much of energy. It's a ratio. Even if you improve the ratio, the total consumption can still be huge if you just consume more. So we need to consider the right metrics, and there's no consensus on that. Energy efficiency was a criteria for 5G, but there was no target value for that. So, and even if we define them, we have to then have standardized methods to do the measurements to be able to compare any result. So today we don't know what the environmental impact of the use of digital services is. So if I have a phone, it's connected to a cellular network, and I download a website. It has a different environmental footprint than having a laptop there, which is connected to the Wi-Fi network here, which then has an optical fiber connection. Their environmental footprints are different. We don't know that data, and I'm involved in those discussions, and they are extremely political. And the companies are just driving their own agendas. So one regulator was publishing something that fixed network is more energy efficient than mobile, and they were attacked by the operators that you can't, and the industry, you can't say this. So they had to withdraw their statements. So it's a real war right now at the environmental sustainability of for example, mobile communications. So that's why the research community would be in a key role to get this unbiased research results out there. Companies will not do that. They have their own agendas they're there to make money, and the regulators should then demand that they provide this. So this is the state of play today. So in our white paper, we were looking at this in a multidisciplinary manner, thinking about technical challenges, policy challenges, societal challenges, economic challenges, environmental challenges, and make this kind of nice figure saying that this really is a multidisciplinary thing and things are interrelated. And we also looked at stakeholders. So stakeholders, that's one of my favorite topics, because I did my second doctoral dissertation on stakeholder analysis for wireless communications. There's so much in research on that topic before. So who are the stakeholders? What is their role? What do they do? What do they say? So when you hear somebody, you speak to somebody like from an operator or regulator, they say their own agenda, and their agendas can be very conflicting. So we always be skeptical about what you hear. Spectrum, especially my spectrum. The operators talk about spectrum, radio spectrum in a different way compared to somebody who doesn't have any spectrum access rights but would like to do that. So understanding the agenda behind the stakeholder is interesting. And I've been in the academia for a reason. I want to be in this middle. I didn't go to work in the industry to promote certain agenda, but I've enjoyed this being in the middle and working together with being friends with everybody. And some do hate me, but it's fine. It's fine. We still keep inviting me. Thank you, Marcus. Regulators have their role to play, because they set the requirements. They will set the requirements on sustainability. They have no idea what they're doing right now, but they don't know what to do. I was talking to the European Parliament in a committee hearing 2 years ago, and the members of the European Parliament were trying to ask them what should be regulated, and it's not clear. I don't even have the right answers to tell, but I know that they should be harmonized among the countries, not that one country requests this and this and this, and another one a totally different set, because these goods we use, the ICT equipment and services, they are for the global market. They are for the we use the same equipment in different countries. There will not be a phone for Finland. No, it's too small a market. There will not be a phone for Spain or Italy, just for one country, which is totally tailored for that. Or there will be, but it's very, very pricey. So for this economic sustainability, we need to have larger markets. This is just one example of what the environmental sustainability, one of the 3 perspectives. It has a lot of flavors. It has many, many studies, and there you can identify a lot of ways to improve things like reduce, reuse, recycle, recover, redesign, reinvent. The 6 our framework is just one: reduce energy consumption, reduce resource use, and so on. There are many things that are happening in different sectors, and then the researchers can really find inspiring work from other sectors and then use them within the ICTs, because the environmental sustainability considerations can be way more advanced in some other fields of science than the ICT. Then for 6G, there are some topics I've included here. 6G will combine communication service with other capabilities like sensing, locationing, computing, imaging. They will all become one in that one system. So that will be a very powerful measurement tool to measure many sustainability related things at a very hyperlocal granularity level. Countries struggle today to report on sustainability related data because it's hard to get, and how to get and what data. It's a lot of open questions. And we need to share and optimize the use of all potential resources. We should not be sending data just for the sake of sending data and be the global leaders on something because we consume the most. But instead we should consider what needs to be like start to minimize this whole use of the resources, because otherwise we'll be in big trouble if we really want to realize all that everything is connected, everything is digital. If those visions happen, our energy consumption will be huge. So that will also lead to considering what should be done where should data be stored, where should it be processed, and so on. So energy efficiency is a key criteria, like in many wireless communication algorithm design, energy efficiency is a key metric. But that alone is not the whole story, but energy consumption needs to be lower. We were trying to get this to the global 6G definition work, but we were trying that 6G should consume less energy than 5G, but it was not possible to agree on that. So many were objecting that, so it's hard to find consensus among the stakeholders. And then the last one, connecting the unconnected. We still struggling that. Finland was in a great situation, but now when I go to the countryside where my mother lives, the connectivity is way worse today than it was 5 years ago. Like, things don't always get better, which is odd. Like I thought the ICT gets better all the time. The connectivity gets better, but that's not the case in those areas where few people live. And in cities, then there are many people simultaneously using the services. So 5G data rates are not much better than 4G data rates. The contracts that are being sold as 5G contracts, they have pretty much the same data plans as 4G here, which is kind of surprising. It was not what was thought about when developing the technology. Then something of recent developments, quite recent. This is from last May in Sweden. The EU, European Union and US published a joint statement on many things, and one was 6G outlook. And there they have with our help said this about sustainability and 6G. 6G technologies must be an enabler for sustainability, considering environmental, social, and economic perspectives. Now it is there. It's an EU-US level statement. And reduced carbon footprint, energy efficiency, reduced energy consumption across all sectors, generate less pollution, reduce other environmental impacts, to contribute to long-term social sustainability while maintaining economic peace. So these are like like-minded countries are now driving these kind of values in the development of the next generation system. Then it's our responsibility to really realize this in the R&D that we do. These are from the global ITU, the United Nations-based Telecommunication Union. There the 6G definition work has started, and hopefully this framework recommendation is approved later this month. And we managed to get sustainability there as an overarching design principle for 6G, ensuring that our actions today do not limit the range. So those kind of things are there. And I mentioned that the European level Nexa-X2 project is a big EU project on 6G, and there we have separate tasks for environmental sustainability, social, and economic sustainability. I'm leading the economic sustainability, and we published, it started in January, we already published the first deliverable. So have a look at this deliverable. I think it's a nice collection of the status in terms of environmental, social, and economic drivers and goals for 6G. Just briefly, last night collected this slide here, that what were the topics that were mentioned in environmental sustainability, social sustainability, and economic sustainability. So we need to consider different footprints and their trade-offs and adopt the life cycle approach so that we consider the impact in different cycles, different stages of the products and services. Avoid hazardous substances, reduce waste, minimize energy, adopt circularity. In the social sustainability, trustworthiness and digital inclusion were the main topics. And then in the economic sustainability, this is not charity work. Like mobile communication business is not charity, it's business. It's business for operators. In Finland, the operators make like 20% profit in a year. So they do great. They really are. They complain, but they do excellent. Might be different in different countries, but here they do great. They get spectrum super cheap, and the prices are reasonable. So, but in some other countries, the governments collect a lot of revenue from spectrum, and then the service or there's less money for investment. Prices can be higher. So it's very different in the different countries. And the economic part is very different. But now I pay 20 euros a month for LTE, the 4G connection, unlimited everything. 5G is a little more, 29 euros a month. Then some conclusions. Actually, this I kind of mentioned already. So where are we today? We have good principles for the future regarding sustainability as a key driver. Some countries have made strategies for ICT sectors, environmental and climate solutions. Finland did that several years ago, so there is a like a position paper. This is what we want to do. Other countries have similar initiatives. Not all consider this, and European regulators have collected indicators like energy consumption, but that's about it. Greenhouse gas emissions, yeah, that is one, but they're not really collecting that information yet. So it's very much like an open space, and the regulators asked the companies, like, what kind of data should we collect from you, and got the response, please don't collect data from us, we don't need. And then the survey was done for the national regulators and companies. And I saw that and I got super angry that, how about the academics, can we say something? And I asked them, because I've been attending that thing, and they said that, no, we don't want to know what the academics think about this. That was earlier this year in Europe. I used that as an example just to show that how the stakeholder thing is so odd. I think researchers have a key role in bringing this information, like unbiased research results. Not that the companies who are themselves creating the rules, creating that, but they would decide how they would be regulated. Because the regulators don't really know how they should be regulated this ICT sector in terms of environmental sustainability. There's a challenge that usually these environmental things are in the Ministry of Environment or something like that. They are not under the authority of Ministry of Transport and Communications. And it leads to challenges like the regulator for the transport and communications has no authority to impose any environmental things there. So, and this is very different in different countries. So it's like when a new thing emerges, there are a lot of practical challenges to really realize that. The spectrum part, the European Union member countries have this radio spectrum policy group which assists the EU in spectrum matters, and they have started to consider what is the relation between spectrum management and climate change. But it's quite generic. There are no big breakthroughs there. Principles we have that sustainability should be driving the development. We started to talk about the indicators for 6G and ended up with energy efficiency, energy consumption, but nothing else. So we don't have those indicators yet. But it's our responsibility to start integrating all these sustainability principles, environmental, social, and economic principles into the work that we're doing in all aspects, and also to talk about it more openly. at the university, I talked with the next generation students, and they would be very keen to know what the environmental impact of their use of digital equipment and services is. But that information isn't available. But if everybody starts to ask for that, and then it will become like a mandated thing to do. But we're still not there yet. So, despite this carbon neutrality and all those high-level goals that countries have, what it means for the ICT sector is not clear. Companies then are saying that they will do certain things, but how much of that is real when the measurement methods aren't real? There's no, but you can say things, but there's no follow-up how you got these numbers. So sustainability needs to become a visible design criteria. We're starting to do that, especially in the HexaX2 project, what it would mean. But it would be involving all of you, but what does it mean in your own topic? Especially what metrics should be used, how to measure tender metrics. Environmental sustainability alone has a lot of things related to the use of air, water, resources, all these kind of things. It's very big. We're not the experts on all of those things, but there could be a lot of different paths to take in order to realize a globally responsible system. And also the enablement effect. These worst comparisons I've seen are that we help some sector 10% in something, I don't even know what. That's why we don't need to care what our own environmental impact is. So there are all these kind of greenwashing statements and sentences that you can read that the companies are really saying that we don't need to worry about our own operations because we help something somewhere else. It's a little similar to the airline companies selling the compensations that you can get. And with the money you buy peace of mind. We need access to real life data from the companies, from the developers, the research community to really develop those solutions. And users need that data to make sustainable choices. Can't do that at the moment. Decision makers don't have much data on the sustainability part of the ICT sector. But still, I feel that the awareness is there now. So I think we're in a better situation today than we were like 2 years ago, when there was still a lot of argument that why are we even talking about these things. But now the organizations and forums and all those, they know that we have to act. They've got this mandate that now we have to do something. So they are more like listening to what they should be doing. And there are a lot of questions that could be answered. What are the sustainable design criteria and usage criteria? There's the supply side and the demand side. Both have their role. If end users start to demand things, then they will happen. And how to assess these? There are high-level standardized methods by the ITU about how to calculate them. But they are high level, there's like one box after another, but their applications in the sectors are missing. That's a topic of research. Yes. And energy efficiency alone, energy consumption alone, it's a big and important topic, and I think many of you are involved in that part. Yeah, I especially like how to involve the research domain to support decision making, so make our voices heard. That's what we try to do a lot. We just a few weeks ago we submitted a response to the RSPG public consultation on 6G. The European regulator published the first 6G opinion document. The regulatory proposal, but it was out of public consultation, and we prepare a response there saying that this and this and this should be considered. So we can be active. We all can be very active in this, putting our knowledge in the hands of the decision makers. Okay, I will end here, and I'll take your questions now, because then I have to go to the call of the HexaX2 project about this sustainability topic.
I didn't get if the information actually would be easy to get if the companies give them data, or if you don't even know how to actually, even if you have the data, it would be difficult to actually calculate whatever metric.
So, but the data, that part refers to many things. Like we in the academic domain often work with our own models, like theoretical models, simulation models, which are not reflecting the actual things that are happening, what the industry is developing those real systems and solutions. And the operators are using those real systems and solutions. So if we got access to that data at some stage, on multiple topics, that could help the research community to be more in line with what the reality is, instead of having the theoretical work is also important, but have some kind of connection. Then the other part is that what data the regulators could be getting and could be asking. And today they don't ask about like anything. Very few things that they ask. And through those, like by demanding those things, they can impact the business. They can impact the operations of those companies a lot. But we need that data as a big thing is really needed.
Oh, thank you very much for the presentation. It's really interesting. I was actually interested in the part where you mentioned the stakeholder analysis. So that was quite interesting, and yeah, with the last slide, with that slide. Also, I see a lot of how-to in the last slide.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you about your opinion in all this stakeholder environment. What were the principal constraints in terms of coordination interests of the stakeholders to adopt new technologies and sustainability?
Yeah, it's a great question. I like the fact that the governments define the rules and conditions. Like you cannot deploy a 5G network unless you have a permission from the government, and it is awarded usually through an auction. So there's a lot of global harmonization in terms of what this system should do. So there are performance requirements in 5G that the system must fulfill. So in setting those criteria, the regulators really have a huge impact on what the technology should be. But the companies do not want too much intervention from the decision makers to decide. They want to do what they think is feasible. So there is already a conflict there. Like one asking and then the other one providing that, and they might be different. Then the operators, because operators buy the gear from the infrastructure vendors, and they have there is a conflict between their interests, because one wants to sell and the one wants to buy. So they have different interests. One wants to sell, get the money from the other one, and the other one wants to get a system that they can then charge their own customers.
And who has the last word, or the regulatory bodies?
Regulatory bodies have the last word in terms of who can deploy anything, what they can deploy. Yeah, and the standardization bodies are really powerful in mobile communication. Standards bodies define the technology. 5G, we have two standardized 5G techniques. 3GPP technique, that is the widespread. Then there is the ETSI tech standard, which is an IoT networks on a smaller scale. And then there was another one. It's not very large. So there's huge, big, and the details are decided there among the companies. And there the IPR is the play. Like they create IPR, they jam their IPR into the standards, and then they charge each other based on the patents. So it's quite a challenge. The regulator has the power if they wanted to use
the last question about that. Sorry, I'm very interested in this. How the users are being represented in this model?
They're not. Like in the discussions, they're not. They are here in this picture.
Yeah.
But in the 6G discussions, there are no users. So often regulators think that users are represented by the MNOs, the operators, mobile network operators. But they're not, because the operators present their own view. They say they relay the user, but they don't. It's business. So there is no forum. There's no mechanism today for individual users. Consumer associations are doing that to some degree somewhere, but not in our field. You don't see the consumer associations. They don't participate there. They were in one event. There was a sustainability thing in European level, and there was a consumer association person there in the Etsy sustainability workshop in March, and I was following. They were saying that but the users want their equipment to maintain, like that they don't get broken. And then the Samsung person was saying that was a little bit challenged by that, but we want to keep selling our gear. So there are conflicts even between the end user needs and the vendors of the devices. It's exciting area.
Yeah.
So my question is, could be that some companies or operators are talking about sustainability, but it's some sort of greenwashing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm afraid a little bit,
Yes.
and at the end,
Yes.
so that was the question.
Yes.
If you experience that it may seem more than greenwashing that really defining things, believing on sustainable principles.
Yeah.
I would say.
I've seen both. And I've been happy to see that big operators like Orange is promoting this in reality, because the French government is taking this as a serious. So within the project we have Orange there, and they are very much driving this in a real way. But it's both. And people, even in the same companies, they have the people who greenwash, and they have the people who do, and then what their power structures are. Infrastructure vendors like who develop the infrastructure. I've seen energy efficiency comparisons of 5G and some competing technology, which are totally outrageous. They have no real information in them. They are just comparing however they want. So there is a lot of false information about this in the market. We have to be very careful, and there is not much unbiased results out there.
Thank you. It's nice to know that Orange is
Yeah.
doing the things, because months ago I assisted to a talk, and he talked to me a little bit in English, but it's
Yeah.
nice to know that
Yeah.
they are not
But they
in that
still
way.
might do that, yeah, because, and if you ask from different people in the company, their answers might be different about the same thing. What you do on this spectrum is like that. If you ask about spectrum things from the research people, they say a different thing than what is the company's official position in the regulatory forums.
Yes. Like we have here this Greenedge, which is also talking about green, how to be green in the edge. And I think maybe a final comment from you would be nice. I would like to, like we have here, 15 young researchers that soon will become doctors and will go to industry, to academia, I don't know, regulators. What is your word of advice to them regarding sustainability? Like is there anything you would like to tell young people?
Yes, a lot of things. To take another hour, but I think it's that the stakeholder perspective. So whoever you talk to, keep in mind that they have an agenda when they talk about, especially sustainability part. So they have something behind it, and it might be honest. Like there are companies who are honestly doing something, but not all. So there can be conflicting perspectives in terms of what they say and what is done in reality. So always be very skeptical, especially if you become this decision maker. Then be very, very skeptical if you see comparisons. Don't but go to the bottom of what are the assumptions, what are the metrics, what are the models to get them. The outcomes do not matter so much. Like you can have a number as an outcome, but if the inputs are wrong, if the assumptions are wrong, then the outcome is like this is 10% something. Well, what does it mean if the inputs were? So be very skeptical. That's my advice.
Have to question everything.
Question everything, especially in the sustainability discussion.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I will. Well, thank you. It was nice talking with you and nice going to sauna with the women.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know.
Now we have the second part.
Yep.
And Marcos.
So I think I will continue the talk by Marja, and we are cooperating with Marja. We have the sustainability group. Let's see, at ICT flagship. We are seeing sustainability from different perspective. Like Marja, as you heard, she's most related to the big picture of sustainability in the sense like the impact of ICT and communication system, the social, economic, and environmental impact of ICT, and also the relationship between sustainability and regulation and standard. On the other hand, I am more related to the sustainability of systems, and this is like the main subject of my presentation. Today, in general, when we talk about wireless communication systems, there are two ways of seeing this. So sustainability. One is the wireless communication system for sustainability, meaning supporting the social, economic, and environmental aspect. Like as Marja said, these UN Sustainable Development Goals. So, and in general, Marja was referring to ICT. I am mostly referring to a part of ICT, the wireless communication systems. So it is clear that the communication system will support in many ways, and there are plenty of studies on this, those sustainable development goals. On the other hand, those systems, those wireless communication systems, have to be sustainable by themselves. So those systems, and when I say system, I'm referring to everything included in wireless communication systems, since microchip all the way to the whole wireless communication network. They have to be developed in a sustainable way, and they have to be sustainable by definition. So in that sense, we can say that the wireless communication system is a part of the solution, the sustainability solution. On the other hand, the wireless communication system could be a part of the problem because they could be, they are not necessarily sustainable. And we as developers or engineers or researchers have to make them also a part of the solution. So my talk today is more related to this aspect, how to make a wireless communication system, whatever system, how to make it sustainable. In general, we also, we heard from Marja already a few definitions of sustainability in general, and also we have to try to define how to make to define a sustainable wireless communication system, which is not in general defined, and also, as we have discussed many times, in general we tend to refer when we talk about sustainability of communication system to things like energy efficiency, low power solutions, energy harvesting, spectral efficiency, because spectrum is also a natural resource. They are extremely important aspects of sustainable communication. But I keep saying that this is also something that we have been doing for since long ago, maybe 15, maybe even 20 years, we have been talking about green communications. And we don't want to, and now we are talking about sustainable communication. What is the difference? And in my view, something that we are pushing is like we should approach sustainability from a much wider perspective. Energy issues being a part, but not the whole thing. What we are doing, we call this a holistic approach to sustainability for a wireless communication system, is try to see sustainability in every aspect or key aspect of the system. And if you see here, this is the timeline. Usually we start typically from the technical requirements. We need a communication system for a certain service and the technical requirements. In the future, hopefully there will be sustainability requirements. They are still not well designed or defined, sorry. But anyway, it is clear, like if we see the timeline, we first develop the system, then when it is developed, there will be the useful life of the system, and then the end of the life. Within this, we start, and the most important of all of this is the design. Then and probably from our perspective, probably we will be mostly involved in the design, but also implementation is extremely important. And then when the equipment is there, it will be sold and used, and so the useful life, which that most of the time it will be operating, but we may need to provide maintenance, we may need to modify, we may need to reconfigure the system, and so we have to take into account of this. And then at the end of the life, the disposal, or it is not mentioned here, but we may also, if we are not going to dispose the system, we may repurpose the system. Anyway, we think we are pushing into this holistic view, like the system should be related to these four parts: sustainable by design, sustainable by implementations, it should have a sustainable use, and sustainable disposal. Now I will give you some examples of where we as researchers, designers, or engineers could have an impact, and these are by no means comprehensive or covering everything. There are some things that just to show you that there are so many things in which we could have an impact. Energy efficient communications at link level. This goes from physical layer things like modulation schemes, then resource allocation, passive communications, wireless energy transfer, etc. At the network level, the MAC protocol, resource allocation, routing, wake-up techniques, wireless energy transfer, spectral efficient communications at the link level, again, modulation scheme, resource allocation, etc. Network level, frequency reuse schemes, resource allocations. Also, I mentioned this one because I'm working with this optical wireless communication, which is another way of using resources more efficiently, or reusing, because if we have the light, we can reuse it for communication. Also, it could be related to the architecture and how to, in the future, particularly in 6G, there will be a lot of different networks, the cellular access based on 6G, that at this point we don't know yet how it is going to look like. We will have legacy networks, 5G, 4G probably will be available, short range networks, and how to select use this in a sustainable way. Sustainable by implementation. We have been already talking yesterday a little bit about this, because our role in Greenedge has been also considering the implementation, and we have been trying to use to some extent anyway, some sustainable ways of implementing. So here I listed some environmental friendly technologies for the implementation, like use of common components. If we can use common components that easily available, probably based on well-known elements or minerals, it helps. And trying also, avoiding the use of elements from like are hard to get or from conflict areas. So, but mainly I highlight the use of printed electronics, and eventually in the future, when it is more develop biodegradable electronics. Again, use of abundant materials element, use of ecological and durable parts. I mean, if we use something that for sure is durable, we don't need to renew this, and possibly use of recyclable parts. Also, this is related not just to the component. So in principle, we should know how those components, like electronic components or parts, how they have been manufactured, have they been manufactured in a sustainable way, like what was the environmental impact when they were manufactured. And you have like examples here, like operational efficiency of the manufacturing, how much energy or other resources have been used, how much pollution was created, emissions, waste, things like that. So everything is related to this sustainability at the implementation stage. But anyway, we think that the printed electronics is something interesting. Of course, printed electronics, I need to highlight, even though it has been around for a couple of decades, it's not fully mature, and we today cannot have everything that we would like to have, like printed. The integration density is not as good as what we can get with silicon-based electronic. Performance-wise, they are not as good. Performance also tends to degrade with time, but there are a lot of advancements in printed electronics. And by the way, tomorrow when we visit BTT, we will visit Printocent. I don't know what exactly they are going to show us, but at least they have a factory, really one of the best top factories in Europe of printed electronics, like where they are producing those components. Hopefully we will see how they make, or how we will see for sure some samples of this. So what can we do while the sustainability while we use the communication system? What can we do? In some cases we cannot do much. What kind of energy sources we are using when we are feeding on these systems? Is it renewable? But also in some cases we can have a good, an important impact. For instance, designing systems which are energy autonomous, so battery-less. So that will be something interesting. But you need to already design this a system to be energy autonomous. And yesterday we saw like Kodak Bar and Amila showed like our solutions were battery-less. We were harvesting energy from the environment. And also use of low power, energy efficient low power solutions. There are a lot of possibilities there. If we design systems which are maintenance free, or we can remotely do the maintenance. If we are designing systems which are modifiable or reconfigurable, for instance, if there is a change in the standard, you wouldn't like to throw away devices or part of the networks or the whole network, because maybe in some cases you could by software and small changes reconfigure the system. And finally, this sustainable disposal, like we produce a lot of electronic waste, or if we eventually could repurpose the system to be used in another scenario for another use. So again, we are interested in developing some sort of methodology for designing a communication system which is sustainable, following these four key goals: sustainable design, by implementation, by usage, and sustainable disposal. And things that need to be developed, particularly for sustainability, is how can we assess sustainability? How can we say that my system is more sustainable than other systems? It is very difficult because any system is composed of a lot of technology components, and if we really would like to know how sustainable is this, it is a quite complex task. But just to give you an example, if you go to the shop today, you want to buy a home appliance like a washing machine or a refrigerator, there is a simple, easy to understand indicator that even my grandmother could understand, this energy label. Even with colors, I'm sure you have seen this, like from green, yellow, and red, and you see, okay, how much energy. So in the future, maybe we could have some sort of label. When you go to buy your mobile device today, is there anything in general telling about how sustainable is solution? No, you buy based on the brand because you like the brand, or you like because of the capabilities, or is it nice looking? That's it. There is a price, of course, price, but there is nothing else now like you would say this is more sustainable. Nowadays, there are some phones already who are sustainable. I think you had a phone.
Yeah.
What was the name?
Fairphone.
Fairphone. So, but probably this is the only one. I'm not aware of any.
I aware only of this one, but
Yeah.
not
But
sure
maybe
about the other.
Okay, starting also a project.
Yes. Maybe in the future there could be some numbers giving, in some way, measuring several aspects of sustainability and put together into a figure, so you, as a user, could make the decision very responsible.
If I may, it's not only the mobile phone itself that is sustainable, also how we use it. How long we are able to use a mobile phone,
Yeah.
extend the lifetime of an app.
Yes, nowadays they say that they have been designed to last for 2 or 3 years. And if it is, maybe it would be, you could be able to use it for longer, but then there will be problem with the memory, or that you don't have enough.
Fairphone is designed for lasts 5 years, if I remember correct.
They provide software update up to 5 years.
And now
Yeah.
the European Commission made some direction for copy pasting the Fairphone specs. So
Yeah.
in principle, in the future,
Yeah.
most of the mobile phones in Europe will be like that.
Yeah, and I think this repairability is also something
Yeah,
that
this
the
is
EU
modularity.
wants to consider. And I think Sweden has been very advanced in the repairability. I think they are, I don't know if there is already a law, but they are going to demand I'm not now talking about mobile devices, but in general, that anything that you sell there, vacuum machine, they have to be repairable. They are not sealed, or it will cost a fortune it will cost almost the same as buying a new one, so probably you will not just repair it. But hopefully, and this is something that we have discussed with Marja, like the trend would be that all these sustainability figures could be standardized. But so then there could be this could be like you are forced as a manufacturer to follow this if you want to sell this in Europe, for instance. But in order to be like that, you first need to be able to measure it in a simple way, and this is one key problem in my view. Just I have a few slides just to show how we have been using this approach, like holistic approach to sustainability in a project which we started this year. It is called Super IoT. So it is, as you can imagine, IoT project, and we try to follow all these sort of sustainability rules that I mentioned in this project, how to do something which is truly sustainable, and we use IoT because it's a simple system. So the name comes from truly sustainable printed electronics-based IoT, combining optical and radio wireless technology. In one way, this is an extension of the work that Koyakbar and my other student Camila have been doing. Like we extend this here in this project, we have been doing optical communications. In here, we extend this to use optical and radio. I will give you a couple of examples. So we are all together 11 partners. You can see those. Maybe you are familiar. There's some people here from some of these. BTT is also there, and they will be making for us some prototypes. Yeah. So, as I said, we are trying to use at least these two rules, but we actually consider all the 4 rules: sustainable by design, implementation, usage, and disposal. So, but the key idea of this project is use, as I said, light and radio for provide wireless connectivity. So the IoT node will be able to communicate with light or with radio, and we can reconfigure this on the fly dynamically, depending where we are. If we are in an area which is sensitive to interference, for instance, we would prefer to use light. If the light is easily, as you can easily block it, we can switch to radio. Eventually, we could use radio and light at the same time. The other thing that we will do is we will produce energy autonomous nodes, as we have here in Greenedge, but we will be harvesting from light and from radio. And finally, we will have positioning based on light and radio. Also, which is interesting, is in here we will try to extend the use of printed electronics. We have, in addition to BTT, we have a couple of partners from Portugal that they are making other components that so far we don't have. We will buy also some commercially available printed electronics. So we will have a much larger use of printed electronics as we have now. And we will build several demonstrators. So this is kind of the principle at the node level. We will have a sustainable IoT node based on printed electronics, able to communicate with optical and radio signals, harvesting energy from radio and optical signals. At the network level, we will design optical and radio access point and IoT gateways. As I said, we will have precise and robust positioning based on light and radio. And then, since the nodes are energy limited and they may have different amount of energy, we will try to use artificial intelligence to manage the task in the network according to the energy that the nodes have. So again, this is what we will do. We will make have just a couple of final slides. We will make 4 demonstrators. One, it will be a full-fledged demonstrator like node, where all the capabilities that I have told you, the use of light and radio for communications, energy harvesting, and positioning will be integrated. And it will be hybrid node, partially printed electronics, partially using conventional electronics. With this demonstrator, when we have this, we will build a network level demonstrator, and we will build something for a hospital. We thought that this is interesting, like we can track and be aware of information of patient, healthcare personnel, hospital equipment, and even objects. And hopefully they will be small, so we can have such a thing. Then we will demonstrate one system which is fully printed. It will be extremely simple with minimum capabilities, probably optical, we don't know yet. And then finally, we will use some reconfigurable intelligent surfaces to show like we can also use this idea in conjunction with risk. My final slide is like what are the vision of the project. We believe that in the future we'll be able to have fully printed, reconfigurable optical radio IoT nodes like a sticker that when produced in large volume, they will be extremely inexpensive, like 1 cent node, meaning that we could have these stickers everywhere. We could have these on a small window, printed, have it on any bottle of milk, let's say. You can send the information, display information, create advertising channels, create product-related channels with leading text. Anytime you are exposed to light, you are receiving information, sending information. Sometimes you buy a product, there is a wrong ingredient there, and you need to do a product we call publish in the newspaper. Like, if you bought this, don't eat it because you will get this or that. You could do it immediately, send information, blinking, okay, please return this to the shop, things like that. So, and this, I think this will allow that we are able to come up when we have such an extremely inexpensive, extremely environmental friendly sticker like IoT node, we'll be able to do massive sensing and massive actuation, meaning that we could have those stickers put everywhere in a forest, in a farm, in a smart city, everywhere. And we can not only monitor, like sense, but also actuate and do things like in both directions. So these are the, and I think that these are kind of visions within the project. We will not be able to have such a powerful node fully printed, but we are going there. So I think this was my very last presentation. Thank you. Question or comment?
A question about the minor positioning that you are aiming to develop. So I don't know if you have any target performance or expected performance.
No, we don't. We don't know. And the other thing is, of course, we would like to improve whatever it is, the accuracy of single system by having two systems, but not only accuracy, but also robustness, because by using two different signals with channels, optical and very different behavior, we could have some sort of much more robust, but always get location regardless of the position. Sometimes the system could be, the node could be in a place for which the signals are not giving good as the estimated node, because of the position here. We will try to also have more robust, but always we get a good position of the node. But this is something that we have some people, particularly IMEC, they have a lot of experience on both systems, but now we will combine. This is something new in the project. I don't know, we don't have, as I said, we haven't set ourselves goals like getting better than this. We will see what is possible to do. Anything else? Okay, I think then we are done for today. Or is there anything we can do? Is there anything after this? No.
There is one question maybe here.
So maybe not in this specific project, but in general, the strategic flagship, you work with companies on the sustainability stuff. Like,
companies on.
sustainability issues? Maybe they have internal projects, I don't know.
As you heard from already, Maria, companies are still talking too much, but doing almost nothing, or everyone is sustainable and provide sustainable products, services. But I think some companies are serious, like I know Nokia and Ericsson, they are committed and they are doing a lot of things. But here we have two SMEs, one from Spain, one from Poland, doing IoT nodes, and they are very interesting because they say that this could be sustainability to the solution could be that could give them a competitive edge. Yeah.
One very general, considering Maria also presentation, which it seems that it is many open issues, many to-do. The to-do list is very large. Companies are very conservative, so sustainability. Climate change is already pushing a lot. So do you feel that we are able to have a really sustainable technology, or
I don't know.
it's a general question? It's a
this is I don't know, but something that I think that like we, at least many of us are at the university, we don't we could be and typically we are independent unless we get money from the company to do something which could be a little biased. But I think we should, as a researcher, should be honest and show things as they are. If the mobile operator don't like, it is. Of course, if we get money from them, probably we will write nice things about them. But I think we should be honest and use this freedom that we have in an honest way and show if some solution is not good from a sustainable point of view, we should tell them. And something that I always say is like today, I think that there is some sort of, I call it like some sort of, we are kind of sort of slave to mobile operators these days. There is some sort of trap where we are, according to statistics, it's not that I have anything against operators, but that is something else. According to statistics, we normal people in our normal life, we spend 70 to 80% of our time indoors. But on the other hand, if you have a city and there are mobile operators, they dimension the network for us to use, for almost all the people as we will be using the network all the time. But when we are indoor, we could use other technologies, and we hardly use. Or we use, yes, but also we are connected to the cellular indoors, and we send a lot of information. And this is extremely a bad thing from point of view of using resources. If I need to send you some file to you, let's share a file. We can do it even not eventually not using the. We can use device to device, not necessarily even Wi-Fi. But typically, since you are connected to the cellular, I'm connected. Okay, I'll send email or whatever. We use a lot of resources, not only energy, but the whole network, because it's been designed for us to be used as a part of this. So I think that, but this is the way it is now. We are, as I say, this is my personal opinion, not 6G, flat G, but we are kind of overusing the resources, and because of this, we are not being sustainable.